Our YouTube started back, of course, talking Final Fantasy IX Remake. We have some pieces of info regarding the game and a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 4. This is coming from Midori. We talked about them not too long ago. I don't particularly like using them as a source, just given like the whole situation surrounding them, the accusations against the person. But at the same time, we kind of got to get our information where we can get it. I was going to do this video yesterday, but I'm actually glad that I waited because part of the information we're going to look at from Midori, from the DMs this person shared, they mentioned that there would be a Nintendo Direct on the 18th, and I don't know if that information was leaked prior to Midori saying it or not, but we know now today that that is in fact happening tomorrow. So if indeed this was like, new information coming from Midori, it adds a level of credibility to the things that they're saying. Further clarified, the things that Midori's talking about in the DMs that we're going to look at aren't things that are going to be at the Direct itself. It's just general information, and also there was going to be a Direct. So the first tweet this person shares says, 2 days ago, Midori came back to our group chat and shared more information he had planned on posting, starting with the Nintendo Direct being on the 18th, as well as confirming the existence of Live A Live 2. It's Final Fantasy IX Remake, Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, Live A Live 2, XR Project with assistance from Team Asano, Dragon Quest HD is the trilogy, Direct is on June 18th. So in regards to like Midori's messages, I don't know what that was like in response to, because they don't give us context. It's just Midori saying those things. But obviously, again, the Direct is confirmed. The Dragon Quest HD being a trilogy is kind of interesting because people have talked about in my comments about like the Dragon Quest 3 remake, I think it is. But are they remaking more? Is that what Midori's saying here? Is that something you guys know about? Are they remaking like the first 3 or something like that? I don't know. I don't keep up with that shit, really. They further shared this message from Midori. Edward was the codename for a Zelda game being revealed, though. So according to Midori, there's an unannounced Zelda game, which I guess is kind of cool. It's not a franchise I've ever been super into. I've played a handful of the games growing up. I have a little bit of attachment to Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. That's one I played a lot growing up. And I actually own the remake of that for the Switch back here. I've yet to actually play it, but I bought it some time ago. Absolutely zero hate to the franchise. It's just not one that I've ever like been super attached to like a lot of people are. We did move on to some more Final Fantasy stuff. They say, he also claimed that Xbox and Square Enix will strengthen their relationship with every Final Fantasy game coming to Xbox at some point, including the Pixel remasters. Specifically, Midori says, had plans to talk about the next Xbox plans for Final Fantasy, there was a lot going on. And then follows that up with, no, but the entire series was coming eventually. Pixel Remaster was coming to Xbox too. So this is obviously something we talked about quite a bit on the channel here. Just kind of talking about like the remake project and just in general with the Final Fantasy titles that are exclusive to PlayStation, inevitably coming to Xbox. And more recently we had like Final Fantasy 14 after like over a decade being, exclusive to PlayStation and also on PC. It's something we've seen a lot with the franchise, like World of Final Fantasy, Zodiac Age, and like I think maybe like the Final Fantasy X HD collection. A few others were like only on PlayStation for a while. Inevitably came to Xbox as time went on. And something we don't talk about enough when we talk about this stuff with like exclusivity in the Final Fantasy franchise, the 13 trilogy, for whatever it's worth, is only available on Xbox. It's kind of strange when you think about it. It's something I always forget. Like I want to actually play the trilogy. I'm not a big fan of 13, but I've only really played through it all once, and I've never played the sequels, and I do want to do that. But I game almost exclusively on PlayStation, and you can't buy those games on PlayStation for some reason. Also, like last year, I believe it was, Phil Spencer like flew to Japan and met with Square Enix and they talked about wanting to like strengthen the relationship. So what he knew about that. And then also like more recently with the financial report we looked at not too long ago, Square Enix talked about, wanting to like release their games on multiple platforms, including like Microsoft platforms and shit. So it's not necessarily like groundbreaking information from Midori, but apparently the Pixel remasters are going to come to Xbox, I guess, at some point. Midori goes on to say that one of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be Moana. We don't necessarily need to read his messages. With that one, he's being coy for some reason. He says it's a world people won't expect. Somebody asks what the theme is. He says island, and somebody says Moana, and he likes the reply. Why not just say it? Like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing it? It's a world you won't expect. And it's like, Moana's very popular. So why is that a surprise? That doesn't surprise me that there'd be a Moana-themed world in Kingdom Hearts 4. That's your Kingdom Hearts 4 update. That's one of the worlds apparently in that game, at least according to Midori. It's whatever. I don't have any attachment to the movie Moana. I've never seen it. I don't really watch the modern Disney movies. Like Kingdom Hearts 1 when that came out, like I was still at that age where I could kind of watch some of the Disney shit. I at least knew what was going to be in Kingdom Hearts 1. I knew those movies and shit, right? I came to Kingdom Hearts 3 like several years ago when that came out. I knew some of the shit, obviously, like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff. I never watched Frozen, but I kind of knew Frozen. So, like, I kind of knew what was going on. Tangled was one of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, I knew what was happening in that game. When it comes to like Moana, I'm not going to get any of the goddamn references unless I plan to, I guess, watch the Disney shit before Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out. To actually give you guys a bit of a Kingdom Hearts update on my side of things, I have since finished Kingdom Hearts 1. I did beat Sephiroth, by the way, which is kind of cool to finally check that off the list. As a kid, I could never beat him. I even had like a guide that told you what his moves did and shit. I could just never beat him. My friend did, though. We always played games together. He was able to beat Sephiroth for me. But it's kind of cool to finally get that just done. I haven't fought the Organization 13 guy, I think at Hall of Bastion, that was in like the Final Mix version or whatever. I forgot about it when I started continuing on with like the Kingdom Hearts collection, but I need to go back and do that. But I am playing through Kingdom Hearts 2 right now. I skipped Rechain of Memories. I did not fucking like it. I watched a recap video on what happens in that game. I might go back to it maybe at some point, but I could not get into it. Moving on from there, I guess we do have another Kingdom Hearts related thing. Midori does, I guess, further confirm that Sora will be in Fortnite. It's not something he just made up. Next tweet, they say, Midori also claimed to have seen footage of Final Fantasy IX Remake. It's being developed internally, and it looks like a mix between Dragon Quest and the Memoria project. Specifically, Midori says, and yes, I saw footage of Final Fantasy IX Remake. It looks a lot better now. A lot like Dragon Quest meets Memoria project, Midori had high-level sources. So this is actually something we talked about a bit on the channel when talking about the 9 Remake. We talked about, what kind of art style do we want for the game. And some people would suggest it in the comments, like Dragon Quest XI, and having played that game, somewhat recently, like that's perfectly fine if that's the route they want to go. And according to Midori, it's somewhere between Dragon Quest and the Memoria project, which, anywhere if they want to do exactly like Dragon Quest XI, exactly like Memoria project, somewhere in between, perfectly fine. Plus, like the kind of cartoony style of Dragon Quest fits perfectly because like a lot of the characters in 9 do look very weird and kind of cartoony, like Steiner, for example, right? So, like, you can go that route if you want to. I will say that me personally, the way I perceive Final Fantasy IX, if it makes any sense at all, like, I've always perceived the art style of that game as kind of like a darker sort of setting, not so cartoony, like somewhat like the Memoria project, somewhat like Dragon Quest XI. Those look great, obviously. But there's the part of me that would like to see, like, Final Fantasy IX remade with, like, a realistic art style akin to the 7 Remake project. But either way, I don't really care what the art style is. I just want the 9 Remake. As for Midori saying that the 9 Remake looks better now, I don't recall him ever saying that it looked bad, or anybody that has supposedly seen the game saying it looked bad. Maybe he did, and I just forgot about that, whatever. But if that is true, if you got to see the game and it looks better now than it did previously, then that's obviously a good thing. That's pretty much it for the thread, at least the stuff that we're interested in talking about. There's more to it. I'll link to it in the description if you guys want to check it out. Further clarifies, like, the 10 Remake's not happening, the Live a Live 2, no Triangle Strategy sequel. Other stuff that I don't really care about. But also a big part of why I wanted to do this video today is just because the Direct is happening tomorrow, and there's potential that some of this stuff, even though Midori wasn't saying any of this shit would be at the Direct, there's possibility of that, right? That could happen. We know stuff like the 9 Remake exists, and according to leaks, it's going to be a multi-platform game. We had the recent Epic Store leak that seems to be something in regards to the 9 Remake, so it's possible that something like that could be announced tomorrow. Who knows? So there's your updates for the 9 Remake, and of course Kingdom Hearts 4 a little bit. Obviously, Midori has a history of being a pretty reputable leaker. They haven't always been correct on stuff. Like, I think somewhat recently, people pointed out that, like, the Visions of Mana thing, where he had said, like, the PS4 version was delayed. The game was still going to come out on time, but, like, that version of the game was delayed, but that ended up not being true when the game got revealed. Like, it's coming to PS4 just fine. Stuff like that. There's other shit people have talked about him not being correct. I haven't fully kept up on it all. But at least for the most part, from what I've seen, he's mostly reliable, but not 100% correct. Which I guess is kind of the name of the game when it comes to leaks, because, they have a source, and even if the source is telling the truth of what they know at the time, that doesn't mean it's always going to be always correct, right? Because even if their source is reputable, things can change behind the scenes, right? As of right now, Midori has left Twitter. I know their account's not active anymore, which is good and bad, I mean, I don't necessarily want to talk about the person anymore if I don't have to, but also, if they have reliable information, I want to know what's going on with, like, the games I'm interested in, so whatever. It's probably best if the person disappears, though. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Search in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine or leave it like Cobain.